Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So I want to talk about how men are being cheated out of their ability to earn a living here in the public sphere, because that's what's happening. And the way that it's being done is by pretending to be offended by everything that the man says. To pretend that any time an individual defends their own values and interests, that it is offensive to the group. I'll be honest with you, this is not complicated stuff once you understand. Western civilization enshrines individual rights because we know that if you violate the individual rights, as is being done now to the men, that whatever the excuse is, we're doing it for the group, we're doing it for the greater good, that you're lying, that you are in fact, having this fundamental compromise on these fundamental basic principles. This is Old Testament, okay? This is, two women claim that the child is there, and Solomon says, well, no problem, we'll just cut the child in half and give, half to each one of you. And one of them says, yeah, that's acceptable. And the other one says, no, don't hurt the child. Let the other person have the whole child so that he's not cut in half. And Solomon says, oh, okay, so now I know who the real mother is. Now I know who the real caregiver is. So when these feminist, globalist, leftists, Democrats, feminists, social justice warriors step up and say, oh, you should have, complete open borders, and you need to call me not man, not woman, not he, not she, but, some made-up pronoun. And if you don't, then you are, in fact, an enemy of the group. Okay? So that's the line. You're an enemy of the group. And the reason why is because you enshrine individual rights. Now, when we are born into a group, okay? It doesn't matter. We must conform to the group. If we don't conform to the group throws us out, okay? We don't question the values and principles of the group. We take it on faith that the people around us are principled with honor and integrity, and that they have sustainable values to bring us into the future. After all, we are here now, okay? That's not what's happening. That these principles of individual rights, of judging people based on their deeds, not on their group, not identity politics, is in fact the moral and ethical way to go. And that if you do it any other way, people, this is a lesson, I hope you're listening, then you destroy the motivation of the individuals to be productive within the system, okay? We don't operate well under threat, okay? We don't breed well in captivity. It's not a universal truth that man should be crushed under the boot of someone else's authoritative, tyrannical, delusional expectations. And the way you circumnavigate these basic principles is by demagoguing to the masses, by playing the groups off of each other. So that's what's happening now. And we're coming up to the midterm elections. So the left, the Democrats, the liberals, the progressives, they're not progressives, they're regressives. They are so regressive that they don't even know it, are pushing hard, are coming down hard, right? And the soy boys who have been raised by the single mothers, who have been raised by the media. You want to know who your parents are? Your parents are a single mother state and the media. That's where we get our principles. That's the group that we are required to conform to. Otherwise, we're out. And the media and the left make up the rules as they go along. There was no Russian collusion. Open borders is retarded. It's absurd. Anybody who does it, their country, their nation is destroyed. Indiscriminate open borders is anti-human. It is to say that, hey, well, here's the thing. Would you let anybody come move into your house? Of course you wouldn't. So then shut up about coming and letting anybody live in your country. Oh, they're suffering? I didn't personally cause their suffering. You didn't personally cause their suffering, nor are we personally responsible. This is a trap. You cannot be responsible for other people's suffering and place in the world. If you are, they won't take care of themselves. And you will take on the burdens of the world, and it will destroy you. Okay? Wow, it's a good thing you weren't raised to do that and conditioned to do that, like to run over and hold open the door for somebody and to check your privilege. It's a good thing that you weren't threatened into doing and believing in that way, because the men of Western civilization, that's exactly what's done to them. And it's being done even more right now. It's so bad that little boys are transitioning into little girls because their single mothers are encouraging it. Thanks, Mom. Since the boy can never develop now, since you've stunted his physiological growth as a man, as a boy, as a male. Thanks, Mom. Good job. State system. Well, she's a strong, independent woman. But of course, she relies on government services. And of course, she wants to, go along with the group, which will destroy our borders and destroy our future and destroy our principles. And the way you get the men to shut up and to back down is by accusing them of committing offenses against the group. It's just absurdity, okay? It's just finding fault with others. You ever notice that there's a whole class of people that's what they do? They don't do work. They don't get things done. They say, that video game offends me. There's not enough women heroes in that video game. It's like, well, write your own video game. It's like, no. We are now going to wage a public marketing campaign, a social campaign against you. That's what's going on. It's tyranny of the group. It's tyranny by virtue signaling and political correctness. It's judging people based on made-up rules and subjective determination. She's unshootable. It's subjective. Why would you ever step forward with a subjective measurement and then shut another human being down? Because you're a tyrant. That's why. Because you cannot compete in an open marketplace. Because you cannot defend your own ideas. That's the position of the left. It's based on gossip, lies, manipulation. That's where we are. That's what's being done to you. You as a man will not be able to keep your corporate job. I'm telling you, prepare for this. 4 or 5 years. They're going to falsely accuse you. They're going to put a man tax on you. They're going to put a wage gap tax on you. They're going to check you 10 times a day and find 8 things wrong with you and then terminate your employment. And it doesn't matter what you do, right? So like the young man who goes along with the system, he'll be okay until he starts to grow a beard, right? Until his mid-20s or so, or until he adopts the attitude, that he has his own personal values. You need to wrap your head around this, okay? It's not that your values are wrong. It's that you're not allowed to have any. If you do, you are standing out as an independent individual and you are offending the group. So the people that are listening to this that are getting offended, it's like, get a clue. What's happening here? Okay, I'm sorry that I'm saying something that you don't like, but I should be allowed, just as I should be allowed to have a preference over chocolate or vanilla ice cream, okay? And you say, well, that you're allowed to have today. Well, then why am I not allowed to say what my political preferences are? Listen, we need legislation that protects political speech. It is obvious that the principle of freedom of speech is a joke, is a masquerade to the people on the left and the people that are part of this feminized group. Okay, that they pay lip service to it, but if they don't like what you're saying or agree with what you're saying, they will find enough fault with you to shut you down. That's not freedom of speech, okay? And they're doing it to the men that are not going along with a feminized interpretation of the world, okay? No, it is not a good idea to let unlimited people into your country and then give them welfare. It will destroy your local population. This is the truth. This is what's happening to Europe. Okay? They might be too far gone. There may be nothing we can do at this stage. They might be so sickly and so weak and so cucked that it's time for them to go. That it is time for history and the natural world to just wash them away. Problem is that's Western civilization as well. So that's the fight. That's the dynamic that's being set up right here. Either we go with the feelings, at which point you cannot have any values that offend the group, or you have individual rights and you enshrine individual rights and you understand that to compromise the individual for the group is a great injustice. But for the group to accommodate the individual, that's what we should do, that we should protect the individual's rights. And then everybody will be protected. But if you demonize the groups this way, of doing politics, of enacting social change, it's not moral, it's not ethical, it's not decent, it's not sustainable, but it can destroy the existing political structure and social structures. So that's what's happening. So every time the left stands up and says we should have unisex bathrooms and there shouldn't be any boys and there shouldn't be any girls, they've actually said that. No boys, no girls. This is a campaign, that's going on in the UK. So it's like, oh my God, I find this offensive, unsuitable, flag that video. No, this is reality. I'm telling you what's outside your door. So don't get mad at me. So these are the social campaigns. No boys, no girls. How do you like that? How do you like that as a steward of Western civilization, as someone who inherited the rights of individual dignity and individual rights? How do you like that? Are you being a good steward of what you inherited? I don't think so. So be prepared. The whole system is coming down on anybody who expresses individual preferences that don't go along and conform with this leftist, globalist, feminized group. Okay, and they're pretending to be offended and shocked and upset, like, oh my God, you're not allowed to say that. You've offended so many people. I haven't offended anybody. I haven't cursed. I've merely had my own opinion, and I've merely expressed them passionately because I feel strongly about them. I'm not some idiot who hasn't thought these things through. I used to be a Democrat and a liberal, and I realized that these ideas, they don't work. You could say that they're, humane and that they're compassionate. They're really not, because they don't really work. And it's really people just trying to take a free ride on the system. And again, that doesn't work. What works is personal responsibility and hard work and pursuing happiness within your own life. But it's your job. It's your responsibility. And in order to do this, you have to have your own personal values. And these are what are under attack. And it's a blanket. It's an overall attack. In other words, if you don't agree with the collective, you're obviously a bad person. And that's simply not true. Every advance in science, in politics, in sociology, in human rights, every advance was against the status quo. So just because you offend the group, this is a protected form of speech, okay? I don't have to agree with you. If this upsets you, that doesn't mean that it's hate speech. It just means that you're being overly sensitive. This is an assault on freedom of speech. This is an assault on freedom. This is an assault on freedom of thought. It's being ramped up all through the social media. They're not respecting the principles of Western civilization. We need new laws and new legislation which says that political speech is protected speech on social media. And the fact that it's a private company doesn't mean anything when it is, in fact, a monopoly on the media. So, like if you get denied there, then you are essentially denied everywhere. And that's a violation of your individual rights. Is all speech protected speech? No, it's not. But this idea that individual groups are getting offended by, what another group says. So if one group wants to be taken care of for the rest of their lives and never wants to work, and another group doesn't want to have to pay for that, can the group that wants to be taken care of say that, oh, we find that very offensive, we find that very inhumane, that's not very civilized, because we just want to be taken care of for the rest of our lives and never have to work, and we don't care who does it. And the other people who have to do it are like, no, we don't think, we know that's not fair. Don't steal from us. Let us do our work and let us get paid for our work. Don't make us take care of lazy people who are trying to cheat the system. Do the people who are trying to cheat the system, that are trying to get taken care of, do they get to say, we're offended by that? That's hate speech. You got to shut that down. You're not allowed to disagree with me. So what the hell? Why aren't we allowed to disagree with you? You're not even capable of supporting yourself. Everybody should disagree with you. You should disagree with you. You, when you encounter your thoughts that say you don't have to take care of yourself, should say, you know what? I need to re-examine this. I need to look at this a little more, in an adult, intelligent manner and adjust my thinking in order to be successful in life. That's the method. That's what we do. We're not born with perfect knowledge. We have to learn how to sustain and support ourselves. We're not animals who live on instinct. You don't automatically know how to build a dam. A beaver does. You don't automatically know how to build a nest or a house. A bird does. You don't know to swim upstream. A fish does. Well, the salmon do. So, there you go. Even nature confirms what I'm trying to say to you. Now, I predict that this video will be deemed unsuitable for most advertisers. And yet, I suspect, and I will request a manual review, and they'll say, yeah, that's okay. You know, you didn't curse, you weren't in hateful political subjects, you merely have your own political view. That's what I predict will happen. I should be allowed to speak without being deemed unsuitable. And yet, that's not the case. So this is the trick. Find fault with what the people who you don't agree with say, and pretend that it's offensive to the group and that it violates, your principles and things like that when you have no principles. That's what they're doing. And they're doing it on social media before the midterm elections. And if they win the midterm elections, they will impeach Donald Trump. And it doesn't matter if he turns the American economy around. It doesn't matter if he sets our national borders back in order. It doesn't matter if he reestablishes our place in the world community. In other words, everybody has to pay their bills. We're not paying for NATO all by ourselves. And if we are, it's shutting down. Everybody has to carry their own weight. All that gets shut down. The border's open, unlimited welfare, without a single thought as to who's paying for it, what infrastructure you're compromising, what future you're compromising. Look, my future, here, as an American, as a man, has been sold out. And so has yours. And you don't recognize it because it's opportunity lost. It's not something you had that was taken away. It's something that you were supposed to get that you're never going to get. But you can still have your own individual value and purpose and meaning in life. But you're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to study and learn about these things. You're going to have to watch more Howard Dare MGTOW videos. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate. Check me out on Patreon. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Twitter. And join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, everyone.